Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair on the UES Defiance. The stars looked peaceful outside the windows, but peace was something humans hadn't known for many years. His ship drifted quietly near the dark side of Earth's moon, where Empire ships couldn't easily see them. "Captain," said his second officer, "we're getting a priority transmission from Earth Defense Command." "Put it on screen." The face of General Amanda Clark appeared on the main display. Her usually calm features looked tired today. "Captain Morrison, every ship in the fleet needs to hear this message. Patch this through to all vessels." Jake nodded to his communications officer, Lieutenant Ryan Walsh. Within seconds, the entire human fleet was connected. Ships hidden in asteroid fields, orbiting moons, and stationed behind planets all watched the same feed. 47 years ago, General Clark began, the Galactic Empire cut us off from most of the galaxy. They said humans were too young for space. They blocked our transmissions. They kept us trapped in our small corner of space. For decades, we sent messages asking for talks. For decades, they gave us only silence. The bridge crew stayed quiet. They knew this history well. This morning, that silence ended. The Empire has finally sent us a message. Clark stepped aside, and a green-scaled alien appeared on the screen. Its three eyes moved independently as it spoke. "I am Ambassador Krell, speaking for Supreme Commander Zinthar and the 7th Imperial Fleet. Your species has been observed and found inferior to accepted galactic standards. You have wasted your time building weapons when you should have been building culture. You have ignored our warnings and continued to expand your military presence." Behind the ambassador, Jake could see the shape of massive warships. The Empire's famous dreadnoughts, each one big enough to carry thousands of fighters. The alien continued speaking. "The Galactic Empire offers you this final choice. Within 48 Earth hours, you will surrender all weapon systems, including ships, satellites, and ground defenses. You will submit to Imperial oversight and accept our governors for your worlds. In return, we will allow your species to remain. If you refuse this generous offer, the 7th Imperial Fleet will remove your entire species from existence. The Empire has spoken. We await your answer." The transmission ended. General Clark's face returned to the screen. She waited a moment, letting everyone process what they had heard. "I have spoken with every world leader," she said. "The Security Council, the Mars Colonial Authority, the Belt Mining Consortium, and representatives from every orbital station. We agreed to one thing. We will reply, but we need time to prepare. Captain Morrison, you and your battle group will patrol Zone 7. Keep your ships hidden and maintain communication silence. We'll need to buy ourselves time." The screen went dark. Jake looked at his crew. No one spoke for several seconds. 48 hours, said Lieutenant Walsh. "That's barely enough time. Enough time for what?" Jake cut him off. "They want us to surrender everything. Our ships, our satellites, our defense networks. Everything we built to protect ourselves." "Sir," said his tactical officer, Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez, "their fleet has over 5,000 ships. Our entire Navy has barely 1,000 vessels, and theirs are bigger, more advanced. They've been a space power for thousands of years. We've only been out here for 2 centuries. So what do you suggest?" Jake asked. "I suggest we listen to what the general said. We need time." In the hours that followed, messages flowed between Earth ships scattered across the solar system. The crew of the Defiance heard reports of diplomatic meetings, emergency sessions of various governments, and hurried military conferences. Meanwhile, Jake kept his ship where it was, watching and waiting. In a private video call with other fleet captains, Jake learned more about Earth's plan. "They're going to ask for more time," said Captain Lisa Bennett of the UES Horizon. The diplomats think they can stretch it to 60 hours, maybe 72. "And then what?" Jake asked. "Then they'll try to negotiate." "The Empire doesn't want negotiations, they want surrender." Bennett sighed. "I know, but what choice do we have? Admiral Hughes thinks we need to try." Back on the bridge of the Defiance, Jake watched. His crew work. They ran system checks, maintained weapons, and kept the ship ready for what? Could they really fight the Empire? His tactical screen showed the positions of Empire ships as tracked by long-range sensors. Just the ships. Near Earth outnumbered the entire human fleet. The next several hours passed slowly. Earth's leaders prepared their response while military planners scrambled to update defense scenarios. Jake received orders to move his battle group to a new hiding spot near Jupiter's moon Europa. As they traveled, staying to the shadows of asteroids and using minimal thrust, he thought about what was coming. On the second day, Admiral Patricia Hughes addressed the fleet via secure channel. The Empire has granted us an additional 12 hours. They believe we're going to surrender. Let them believe it. All ships maintain defensive positions and prepare for potential combat operations. Jake noticed something in her tone. Combat operations against 5,000 Imperial warships? All ships stand by for further orders, was all she said. Hours ticked by. The crew of the Defiance performed their duties quietly. They knew what was at stake. If Earth surrendered, humans would become subjects of the Empire. If they fought, they would likely be wiped out. Neither option seemed acceptable. Late in the 58th hour since the ultimatum, a new transmission came through military channels. It wasn't from General Clark or Admiral Hughes this time. It was marked with the highest security clearance and coded as Director's Priority. All captains, this is Director Chris Martin of Special Projects. Prepare yourselves and your crews. Humanity will give its response soon. The Empire thinks we're broken. Let them think that for just a little longer. The coming dawn belongs to us. The transmission ended. Jake looked at his crew again. They looked back at him with a mix of fear and determination. Whatever was coming, they were in it together. Outside the Defiance, stars continued their eternal dance. The Empire's fleet moved into positions around Earth and its colonies, confident in their superiority. In asteroid bases, on orbital platforms, and aboard hidden ships, humans made quiet preparations. The clock was running out, and everyone knew that whatever answer Earth gave to the Empire would change everything. Jake Morrison ordered coffee for his bridge crew and settled in to wait for what came next. The peaceful stars seemed to mock them with their stillness. Soon, he thought, that peace would be shattered. One way or another, humanity's silence would end. 24 hours remained. Captain Jake Morrison watched as small ships moved between stations carrying supplies and personnel. From his position near Jupiter, he could only see part of what was happening. Across the solar system, massive preparations began. On Mars, Colonel Sam Blake oversaw the awakening of hidden defense systems. Deep beneath the red planet's surface, power generators hummed to life. These machines had waited decades in silence, built in secret by early colonists. Now they would serve their purpose. Power levels rising steadily, sir, reported his technical officer. All systems showing green. Good. Keep it quiet. If the Empire scans us, they should only see our regular colonial infrastructure. Back on Earth, Admiral Patricia Hughes coordinated the movement of ships from concealed positions. Each vessel had spent years hidden in civilian facilities, modified cargo ships with false identities. Now they slipped quietly into formation, their true military configuration hidden beneath civilian paint and false transponder codes. In the asteroid belt, Captain Danny Brooks commanded a mining station that wasn't really a mining station. Behind the facade of ore processors and transport ships, his team operated a massive sensor array. For months, they had been tracking every Empire ship that entered the solar system. Sir, the Empire fleet is splitting into 3 groups, Brooks reported to Hughes. Looks like they're positioning for maximum coverage of inhabited areas. Excellent. Feed that data to tactical planning, and keep monitoring. We need to know exactly where every ship will be. At Europa Station, Dr. Stephen Wright barely slept. His team worked around the clock on something they called Project Prometheus. The facility, built into the ice moon's subsurface ocean, held equipment that would seem impossible to casual observers. Power conduits are stable, said his chief, Engineer Marina Wells. The quantum field generators are holding steady at 60%. Bring them to 75, Wright ordered. We need to be ready for full output. Sir, if the Empire detects these energy readings, they won't. Their sensors are calibrated for conventional technology. They've never seen anything like this. In N, Earth's high-orbit construction crews floated near a massive structure. To Empire scanners, it appeared as a derelict shipyard left from humanity's earlier expansion period. In reality, hundreds of technicians installed final systems in what they called the Sol Defense Grid. Power coupling connected, reported the lead engineer. We're drawing directly from the solar collection satellites now. Verify the firing coordinates one more time, ordered Major Carter Lane. We get one shot at this. Across the lunar surface, secret bases revealed themselves only to trusted personnel. Airlocks opened to release hidden fighter squadrons. Supply depots transferred ammunition to waiting ships. Communications officers established quantum-entangled links between all human forces. Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez sat at her station aboard the Defiance. Her tactical screens showed constant updates as human forces moved into position. What amazed her most was the coordination. Every movement had been planned. Every ship knew its role. "Captain," she said to Morrison, "I'm seeing our force estimates climb. We have way more ships than I thought." "Keep that to yourself, Lieutenant. We're not alone in this. Lots of people have been preparing for this day." On Earth's surface, millions of civilians moved into underground shelters. The evacuation appeared chaotic to any observers, but followed precise plans developed over years. Children carried their homework. Families brought pets. Nobody panicked because everyone had practiced these drills. In command centers across multiple worlds, fleet captains received sealed orders. The packets contained detailed instructions but warned against opening them until a specific time. Captain Tyler Morgan ran his fingers over his sealed orders, wondering what secrets they contained. 9 hours left, said his first officer. Still no word on what our actual response will be. The Empire thinks we're scrambling to decide whether to surrender, Morgan replied. Let's keep them thinking that. The Imperial fleet maintained its positions, supremely confident. Ambassador Krell sent another transmission reminding humans of the deadline. His message dripped with condescension. Your primitive species has shown remarkable foolishness, he stated. Submit now, and we may allow some of you to serve as workers on our ships. Continue to delay and you choose extinction. Earth's official channels remained quiet. Diplomatic teams held meaningless meetings. News services broadcast debates about whether to surrender, all designed to make the Empire believe humanity was paralyzed with indecision. In the shadows, real work continued. Ships that hadn't flown in years powered up their engines. Weapons systems performed final calibrations. Navigation computers updated coordinates for targets light years away. Dr. Martin Collins worked frantically at her station in the Lunar Medical Complex. Along with preparing for casualties, she coordinated something else. Human science vessels had spent years studying Empire technology from a distance. Now that research would be put to use. Their shield frequency patterns are consistent, she reported. The modulation rate hasn't changed in decades, typical for a species that hasn't fought a real war in generations. In military academies, veterans of small skirmishes planned complex maneuvers. General Kevin O'Brien reviewed simulations with his staff. They had studied Empire formations, tactics, and responses. They knew how the Imperial forces would react to various scenarios. They rely on overwhelming force, O'Brien explained. Standard formation, by-the-book responses. They haven't adapted their combat doctrine in centuries. Captain Blake Johnson prepared his squadron of stealth ships. These vessels, developed in secret, could slip past Empire sensors. Each carried special warheads designed to cause maximum damage to Imperial shield generators. Remember, he told his pilots, we hit fast and disappear. Don't try to be heroes. Our job is to create gaps in their defenses. The hours continued to pass. Empire ships maintained their threatening posture. Human ships stayed hidden, save for a few patrol craft that moved between stations on obvious routes. Everything about human activity suggested a species in chaos, unable to mount any meaningful defense. 3 hours before the deadline, a coded transmission reached all human forces. Hark the dawn, Phase 1 complete. Maintain cover positions. Coordinate confirmation required. Execute on signal. Captain Morrison read the message twice. He looked at his crew, who had served faithfully throughout this crisis. They didn't know the full plan, but they trusted in the preparation that had gone before. All hands, this is the captain. We've lived in freedom since we first left Earth. We built colonies on harsh worlds. We turned rocks into homes and vacuum into cities. Whatever happens next, remember what we're fighting for. Our right to choose. Our own future. Outside, the void of space remained peaceful, but aboard thousands of hidden ships, millions of humans waited with weapons ready and engines warm. The Empire's deadline approached, and with it, the moment that would change the galaxy forever. In the distance, the Imperial fleet held its position, certain of victory, unaware that humanity's true response had already begun. 1 hour remained. The tension on every human ship was sharp enough to cut. Captain Jake Morrison watched his bridge crew as they performed their duties with nervous precision. Outside, the Empire's deadline approached like a coming storm. "Sir," said Lieutenant Ryan Walsh, "we're receiving orders from Earth Defense Command. The response is ready." Morrison nodded. "Put it through to all ships. Let everyone see what we're sending." The main screen activated. Ambassador Rachel Carter appeared, standing in a diplomatic chamber aboard Earth's largest orbital station. Behind her, carefully placed to be visible in the transmission, stood rows of Earth's government leaders. They appeared somber, perhaps even defeated. "Greetings to Ambassador Krell and the representatives of the Galactic Empire," Carter began. "We have received your ultimatum and understand its terms." In Imperial ships positioned around the solar system, alien officers gathered to watch Earth surrender. Ambassador Krell stood proudly on his flagship's command deck. The time for human resistance had ended. "Our species faces a difficult decision," Carter continued. "The complete surrender you demand would end our independence. Yet we understand the overwhelming force you possess. We request additional time to organize a transition of power that won't cause chaos in our colonies and stations." Krell's 3 eyes blinked in different sequences. "Your request for time is predictable. All inferior species attempt to delay the inevitable. We propose a face-to-face negotiation," Carter said, "aboard a neutral vessel in one of Jupiter's Lagrange points. If you grant us 12 additional hours, we can begin discussions about how to implement your terms without causing suffering to our civilian population." Morrison and his crew listened carefully. Every word had been rehearsed, calculated to appeal to the Empire's sense of superiority while appearing as desperate stalling. On the Empire's flagship Thunder of Stars, Supreme Commander Zinthar studied the human proposal. His tactical officer, a 6-limbed creature named Vogt, showed him force disposition charts. "The human fleet remains dispersed," Vogt reported. "Their combat vessels show no sign of organizing for battle. Their shields are down, weapons powered to minimum levels." "Give them the 12 hours," Zinthar decided. "Let them understand their situation fully. Sometimes it's better when prey species understand their own weakness." Krell transmitted the Empire's answer. "The Galactic Empire accepts your request for negotiations. You have been granted 12 additional hours. Send a delegation to coordinates provided. Any attempt at deception will result in immediate extermination." When the transmission ended, Carter's stern expression dissolved into something else entirely. The camera feed cut before any watching Empire could see the slight smile at the corners of her mouth. Across the solar system, a new code reached human ships. "Hook set, fish taking bait. All units continue stealth protocols. Execute orders on EO. Schedule unchanged." The next 12 hours saw frantic yet controlled activity. Empire ships adjusted formation slightly, optimizing for planetary bombardment positions. They expected either human compliance or quick annihilation. Aboard the Defiance, Morrison gathered his senior officers. "We've got our extension. That gives us time for all units to reach final positions. The Empire thinks they're being generous." "Sir," said Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez, "their fleet is spreading even thinner. They're positioning to threaten every population center at once." "Exactly what we hoped for. Divided force, divided fire control. Ancient military principle." In a secured conference room at Lunar City, Admiral Patricia Hughes met with fleet commanders via holographic link. Admiral Trevor Barnes, called the Anvil by his crews, reviewed final attack patterns. The Empire follows classical doctrine, Barnes explained. They overuse the same maneuver at the start of every engagement, what they call the Imperial Wall. All ships link shields to create an impenetrable barrier, while their long-range weapons fire from safety. And our response? Asked Captain Lisa Bennett. We've already positioned our stealth ships inside their planned formation points. When they try to form the wall, they'll find we're already through it. Meanwhile, Earth's diplomats maintained the facade. Ambassador Carter transmitted regular updates to Krell, discussing organizational challenges of processing entire population registries. She asked detailed questions about Empire citizenship protocols and colony management procedures. Krell responded with bureaucratic documents outlining submission requirements. Each message grew more condescending. By the 10th hour, he was explaining basic galactic law concepts in terms that primitive minds might grasp. Every Imperial fleet officer who read the exchanges grew more convinced of human helplessness. Their long-range sensor operators reported human ships still moving randomly, clearly attempting to hide but doing so poorly. What they couldn't see were the true positions of the stealth fleet. Ships with surface coatings that bent light and scatter emissions drifted undetected into strike positions. Others had been stationary near Empire formation points for weeks, powered down until needed. As the Empire allocated ships and resources for the coming occupation, human naval intelligence tracked every movement. Captain Danny Brooks at his concealed asteroid facility coordinated sensor data from hundreds of sources. Their carriers are leaving the Star Throne fleet, Brooks reported. They're sending them to secure Earth's orbital ports. That leaves their main battle force with reduced fighter support. In weapon laboratories, scientists made microscopic adjustments to specialized ammunition. On Mars, the underground power grid reached maximum capacity. The fusion reactors hidden beneath the polar ice caps added their energy to the colonial shield network. Dr. Alan Foster worked through mathematical calculations. His team had developed a new form of faster-than-light travel based on theories the Empire had never considered. While Imperial ships could jump between star systems in days, human ships would make the journey in hours. Quantum tunneling confirmed, Foster announced. All jump coordinates verified. The Empire thinks they know where our capital ships are hidden. They have no idea we moved them to the binary star system last month. Captain Tyler Morgan broke the seal on his orders. His eyes widened as he read tactical assignments that several of his ships would recognize. He immediately ordered course corrections that would take his group to orbital insertion points for Assault Package Delta. "Sir," asked his navigator, "these orders have us jumping across multiple star systems in rapid succession. Our ships have never tested these modifications at this distance." The modifications are based on captured Empire technology, reverse-engineered and improved, Morgan explained. We've had longer than they think to prepare. 2 hours before the final deadline expired, Ambassador Carter transmitted a final communication. Ambassador Krell, we accept the Empire's terms with one formal request. We would like the honor of a ceremonial meeting to transfer sovereignty, a symbol of peaceful transition. Krell's response dripped with smugness. We accept your surrender ceremony. You have chosen wisely for humans. Your species will serve a purpose under Imperial rule. After the transmission ended, Carter looked at General Kevin O'Brien. They stood together in the diplomatic room, now surrounded by military officers. Did you feel that slight tremor in the station? O'Brien asked. Everyone aboard felt it. The Sol defense grid just went from standby to active status. The capacitors are charging from the solar arrays. Outside the station, space looked exactly as it had minutes before, but underneath the ordinary appearance, power gathered in ways the Empire couldn't detect. Their sensors read energy signatures as normal stellar radiation. Throughout Earth's sphere of influence, final preparations completed. Pilots climbed into cockpits. Gunnery officers entered targeting solutions. Communications officers verified quantum entanglement connections. The Empire's ships held position, weapons ready to annihilate human civilization if needed. Thousands of Imperial officers congratulated themselves on another successful intimidation of an inferior species. Neither side moved. A false calm settled over both fleets. But beneath the calm, human forces counted down to 0 hour. The reply had been sent. The trap was set. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humanity had prepared during years of forced isolation. On the bridge of the Defiance, Jake Morrison closed his sealed orders and locked them in his personal safe. He had read them 3 times. What came next would change the balance of power in the entire galaxy. All hands to action stations, he ordered quietly. Silent protocols, full combat readiness, but not one power signature above civilian levels. Not yet. The countdown continued, invisible to Empire sensors but displayed on every human tactical screen. Minutes remained before humanity's true response would begin. The countdown reached 0. Throughout the solar system, human forces received a single-word transmission: execute. Aboard the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison felt the deck plates vibrate as his ship powered weapons to full combat status. Around him, hundreds of other vessels did the same. Stealth field deactivating in 3, 2, 1, called Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez. Across space, what the Empire thought was empty void suddenly filled with ships. 10,000 human vessels materialized from hiding spots between asteroids, behind moons, and within sensor shadows. Each ship had perfect positioning for its assault target. Emperor's Curse, shouted Sensor Officer G. Kral aboard the Empire flagship Thunder of Stars. They were there all along. But the stealth ships were only the beginning. On Luna, Mars, and dozens of strategic points, massive energy signatures blazed to life. The Sol defense grid, hidden in plain sight as damaged orbital infrastructure, revealed its true nature. General Matthew Lopez stood in the command center on Mars. Fire control, engage all primary targets. Sol grid, full power to main batteries. Beams of concentrated antimatter lanced across space. The grid drew power directly from Earth's star, firing weapons that humanity had developed in secret. Imperial ships, caught completely unprepared, had no defense against the type of energy striking them. Forward squadrons launching, reported Admiral Caroline Hayes from her flagship Atlas. 10,000 smaller craft poured from hidden hangars. Imperial sensors struggled to track the sudden swarm of fighters and corvettes. Captain Blake Johnson led the first wave of assault ships against the Empire's orbital command station above Earth. His modified corvette Golden Arrow dove through, burning debris from exploded Imperial scout ships. Target their shield generators first, Johnson ordered his squadron. Remember the weak points we identified. Fire. Specialized torpedoes struck exactly where human intelligence had predicted, vulnerable spots. The Imperial station's massive shields flickered and died. Secondary explosions followed as human ships pressed their advantage. Aboard Thunder of Stars, Supreme Commander Zinthar struggled to comprehend what was happening. How did they develop such technology? Our intelligence showed them decades. Behind us, sir, Vogt responded shakily. Their ships are using power sources we've never seen. Their fighters move too fast for our targeting systems. Dr. Stephen Wright watched the battle unfold from his control station at Europa. Project Prometheus activated, opening quantum tunnels through space-time itself. Human capital ships began, disappearing from one location and instantly appearing at others. Jump coordinates confirmed, Wright announced. All ships arriving at destination points within acceptable margins. The quantum tunneling technology let human ships bypass Imperial lines entirely. Battleships appeared inside enemy formations. Destroyers materialized behind supply convoys. The Empire's careful defensive positions became death traps. General Lopez, this is Captain Tyler Morgan. My group just emerged at the Empire's primary logistic hub. No resistance. They thought their supply base was safe, light years from any battle zone. Destroy it all, Captain, and capture what you can. We want their technology undamaged. The battle expanded across multiple star systems. Imperial ships tried to retreat to defensive formations, but quantum tunneling human forces intercepted them constantly. Every move the Empire made played out exactly as human war planners had predicted. They're trying to form the Imperial Wall, shouted the tactical officer aboard the Defiance. Let them, Morrison replied calmly. As planned, wait for them to link their shields. The Imperial fleet executed their most famous defensive maneuver. Ship after ship connected their shields into an impenetrable energy barrier stretching millions of kilometers. Behind the wall, their long-range weapons powered up to annihilate the human fleet. But inside their formation, right where the shield wall formed, sat dozens of human stealth ships. These vessels had been positioned weeks ago, powered down and waiting. Now they activated, firing point-blank into exposed Imperial ship systems. Shields can't protect what's inside them, Morrison noted as Imperial vessels began exploding from within their own formation. The Empire's communication channels filled with panic. Their coordination broke down as the battle network they'd relied on for centuries failed to handle the speed of human attacks. All units, new target priorities, ordered Fleet Commander Samantha Collins. They're leaving their homeworld command centers exposed while they try to protect their capital ships. Human forces shifted focus with deadly efficiency. Where Imperial fleets pulled ships to defend themselves, their colonies lost protection. When they tried to protect colonies, their supply lines vanished. Captain Danny Brooks directed his specialized sensor ships to jam Imperial communications. Every order from Zinthar became garbled noise. Imperial fleet elements lost contact with each other. Their carrier flagship just lost all fighter control, Brooks reported. We're drowning them in electronic warfare they didn't know existed. In systems light years apart, human attack groups struck in perfect synchronization. The Empire's vast territory worked against them now. No single point could reinforce another in time to matter. Sir, reported the weapons officer aboard Thunder of Stars. We've lost 80% of our fleet strength in 7 minutes. Our counterattack systems can't target their fighters. They're too small and too fast. Lieutenant Commander Amy Chen led Fighter Wing Delta through the remains of an Imperial battle group. Her squadron dodged between exploding ships, targeting weapon systems and engines. Echo leader to all pilots, remember the training. Don't get caught in their blast radius, hit and move. The Imperial dreadnought Eternal Victory, pride of the 7th Fleet, attempted to broadcast its surrender. Human forces intercepted the message, but continued their assault. Destroy their military capabilities, ordered General Kevin O'Brien. Capture their crews when possible, but leave no ship able to fight. Human boarding teams secured Imperial vessels throughout the battle zone. Marines equipped with specialized breaching tools cut through ship hulls that Imperial sensors couldn't properly scan. Technology gaps worked both ways. Marines reporting, General, came a transmission. These Imperial ships use control systems that our people trained on for years. We can operate them better than their own crews. The tide of battle turned into a flood. Imperial ships began fleeing, breaking formation to escape. But quantum tunnels opened in their path. Every escape route led into human ambushes. Across the Empire's outer territories, colonial governors watched their defense fleets destroyed. Some tried to evacuate populations, others prepared for ground defense. None imagined the speed at which human forces would arrive. We're opening jump tunnels to their secondary command worlds, Dr. Wright reported. All ships performing as expected, no tunnel decay detected. The Empire fought back where they could. Their larger ships had firepower that could devastate human vessels. When Imperial gunners made proper target locks, they destroyed dozens of attackers. But human numerical superiority overwhelmed isolated Imperial victories. In the command center, Admiral Patricia Hughes studied the strategic display. Imperial forces were collapsing on every front. Send this message to the Empire, she ordered. The Galactic Empire is hereby notified that humanity, for decades isolated by Imperial decree, has judged your actions hostile and unacceptable. Your military aggression forces us to act in self-defense. Surrender immediately or face complete military defeat. The message broadcast across all Imperial channels reached Zinthar on his burning flagship. He saw no choice. Signal retreat. All ships are to... Wait, where would they retreat to? They're everywhere. They've beaten us. Space filled with fire and debris. Human ships maintained control over entire battlegrounds. No Imperial vessel remained combat effective within 3-star systems of Earth. The Empire's 3,000-year military machine, built on technological superiority and overwhelming force, fell apart in minutes. Their defeat came not from weakness of human ships, but from strategic brilliance they hadn't understood. In the aftermath, human forces secured damaged Imperial vessels and helped survivors. While their military had executed perfect destruction, they maintained rules of war the Empire had long forgotten. Hours later, the battle was effectively over. Human ships guarded the Empire's remaining installations. At Earth, space burial teams prepared for cremation ceremonies to honor the fallen from both sides. Jake Morrison sat quietly in his captain's chair. The Defiance had suffered damage, but, held together, his crew worked efficiently to secure their battle zone. "Captain," said Lieutenant Walsh, "Earth Command is requesting casualty reports from all ships. Tell them the price was far lower than we feared. Human losses, minimal. Imperial forces neutralized, mission accomplished." Outside his viewport, the stars seemed unchanged, but the galaxy had shifted forever. The Empire's expansion had ended. Human sovereignty was secure, and the balance of galactic power stood on a new foundation, built in those few decisive minutes when humanity showed its true strength. 23 minutes. That's how long it took for humanity to dismantle an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Fleet Admiral Daniel Murphy stood on the bridge of his flagship Victory. The battle, if anyone could call it that, was ending. Imperial ships floated dead in space or broadcast surrender signals. Others tried to flee but found escape routes blocked by human forces. "Admiral, all major Imperial battle groups are neutralized," reported his tactical officer. "Our casualties: 17 ships destroyed, 32 damaged. Enemy casualties exceeding 70% of their total force." Murphy nodded. The numbers were astounding. Every simulation had predicted human losses at least 10 times higher. But the Empire's complacency had been their downfall. In the Imperial capital system, Ambassador Krell waited aboard his personal yacht. He had fled Thunder of Stars when it became clear the battle was lost. Now his ship drifted powerless, engines deliberately shut down to avoid appearing threatening. Captain Tyler Morgan pulled his destroyer alongside. "Ambassador Krell, this is Captain Morgan of Earth Defense Force. Your ship is surrounded. Prepare to be boarded." "We surrender," Krell transmitted quickly. "The Empire's military forces surrender." Throughout space, scenes repeated. Imperial ships powered down weapons, dropped shields, and prepared to accept human boarding parties. Some crews evacuated to emergency pods. Others waited on their ships, uncertain what would happen next. But not all Imperial forces gave up easily. The Startide, a massive Imperial dreadnought near the edge of Imperial space, attempted to jump to hyperspace. Commander Laura Mitchell deployed her interceptor group at precisely the right moment. "All ships, target their hyperspace motivator, now." Focused fire disabled the dreadnought's ability to escape. Hundreds of Imperial crew members later evacuated to life pods rather than face human capture. Mitchell ordered her ships to collect the survivors. "These people need medical attention," she told her crew. "We're not monsters. Once their military surrenders, they become prisoners we must protect." Earth Defense Command faced an entirely new problem, dealing with thousands of captured Imperial ship personnel. Admiral Patricia Hughes commissioned civilian ships to serve as temporary prisoner transport vessels. "We treat them well," Hughes ordered. "Water, food, medical care. They surrender to superior force, not to cruelty." Across human space, medical ships deployed to areas where Imperial survivors drifted in escape pods. Dr. Samantha Collins led the largest rescue operation from her hospital ship Mercy. "I need every medical professional we have," Collins broadcast to all civilian vessels. "Species differences don't matter right now. Anyone with medical training, report to designated coordinates." Some Imperial survivors refused human aid at first. Their culture had taught them humans were primitive savages. But as they received treatment, saw humane conditions, and received regular rations, many began questioning what they'd been told. The logistical challenge of managing 17 different alien species all at once pushed human capabilities. Imperial prisoners spoke hundreds of languages, had various environmental needs and medical conditions that human doctors had only read about in stolen data. We need Imperial doctors to help treat their own people, Collins reported to headquarters. Some of these medical emergencies are beyond our knowledge. Admiral Trevor Barnes coordinated the beginning of what historians would later call the 72-hour rescue. Every able human ship participated. Those not involved in continued security operations moved to humanitarian aid roles. On the surface of several Imperial colony worlds, panic had spread. Citizens saw their mighty fleets defeated in minutes. Many expected human revenge that never came. Commodore Peter Wright led the first diplomatic envoys to Imperial colonies. His ships entered colonized systems with weapons powered down and shields, configured for defense only. Attention all residents, Wright broadcast to the Crexy colony world New Haven. Human forces have defeated your military. We have no quarrel with civilians. Maintain order and no harm will come to you. Many colonial administrators surrendered local defenses immediately. Others tried to organize resistance. Wright's forces disabled military installations and captured equipment without attacking population centers. The most significant moment came in the Galar system, one of the Empire's key military production centers. Space stations that built warships had heavy shields and large garrisons. Rather than blast through and risk civilian casualties, human commanders used a different approach. This is Captain Blake Johnson to all industrial facilities in Galar system. We're offering you a choice. Shut down military production voluntarily and assist in converting to peaceful industry, or we'll use specialized electromagnetic bombs that disable your power grids without killing anyone. Most facilities chose cooperation. Within days, shipyards that had built warships began planning conversion to civilian transport vessels. Weapon plants discussed changing to medical equipment production. The true diplomatic work began when human ships delivered a final ultimatum. This time, not to surrender, but to negotiate. Ambassador Krell, General Kevin O'Brien addressed the detained alien who once demanded human surrender. The empire you knew is finished. Your military cannot threaten us or anyone else. Now we must discuss the future. Krell, still proud despite circumstances, tried to maintain dignity. What do your people want? Revenge? To become conquerors as we were? Neither, O'Brien replied. We want what we've always wanted. The right to exist without fear, the right to chart our own course, and the right to trade and communicate freely with other species. Throughout the former empire, colonial governments faced difficult choices. Some worlds declared independence immediately. Others petitioned to join the human alliance. A few tried to maintain the old imperial structure without military backing. Human diplomats led by Ambassador Jack Williams traveled system to system. Williams presented a new framework: individual worlds choosing their own governments, free trade between willing partners, and mutual defense based on consent, not conquest. No species can claim superiority over another, Williams declared in each system. Technology changes, power shifts, but dignity remains constant. 2 weeks after the short battle that changed everything, Fleet Admiral Murphy addressed the galaxy. For decades, humanity developed in isolation. We built technology not to conquer, but to protect ourselves. When threatened, we proved our capability. Now we offer our hand in peace to all willing to accept it. The message reached every corner of known space. The Empire's communication network, once used to spread propaganda, now carried offers of cooperation. In his private quarters aboard Victory, Murphy reviewed casualty reports. 17 human ships destroyed, 243 crew members lost. For what military analysts called the most decisive victory in recorded galactic history, the cost was remarkably low. But Murphy knew the real work was just beginning. An empire that had controlled half the galaxy for millennia couldn't be replaced overnight. Multiple species needed new relationships with each other and with humanity. Aboard the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison received his new assignment: patrol. Duty along trade routes that had been closed to humans for generations. The irony wasn't lost on him. Sir, Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez commented, 6 weeks ago they were blockading our space. Now we're protecting their merchant ships. That's progress, Lieutenant. We didn't fight to destroy an empire. We fought to, and won. Big difference. In Earth's orbital space, reconstruction began. Human engineers worked alongside Imperial prisoners of war to repair damage from the brief battle. Former enemies shared tools, techniques, and eventually stories. The galaxy would remember the day differently depending on perspective. Imperial survivors spoke of human ferocity and technological surprise. Human veterans talked about the importance of preparation and unity. Neutral species marveled at how quickly everything changed, but everyone agreed on one fact. In less than 25 minutes, a species once considered too primitive for galactic society had proven themselves not just equal but prepared. The lesson spread. Never underestimate those who have endured hardship, who have used isolation to grow strong, who have learned that true power comes not from conquering others, but from defending what you value. Years later, children throughout the galaxy learned about the day the Empire fell, but more importantly, they learned about the day peace began. A peace built not on fear and conquest, but on mutual respect earned through strength tempered by mercy. The stars continued their eternal dance, but now they shone over a galaxy where humanity had taken its rightful place, not as conquerors, but as guardians of their own destiny and partners in a new cosmic order. The Empire's age of dominance had ended. The age of choices had begun.